Non lo so, mi trovo sempre nelle situazioni che in qualche modo, un po' come tutta la mia vita, insomma, non me l'aspettavo, per cui poi sono lì e faccio quello che c'è da fare al momento, un po' più che coraggio è sempre quella cosa a cui non do molto peso finché non faccio operazioni a cuore aperto, io dico sempre per me stesso, so. Per cui spero di far bene e basta, insomma. Sono onorato e sono contento di essere proprio seduto a fianco, così almeno ho fatto un sacco di foto, così mia mamma, mia zia a casa, so. Cercherò di stare il più vicino possibile a loro in questi 2 giorni perché devo aspettare Kung Fu Panda 2 che magari fra 5 anni, mannaggia, non posso essere un po' più veloci che ho bisogno. I pretend to be friend, like hey you guys. 3 anni ragazzi.
Okay, 3 years, come on, please. Soon.
About the actor strike, what do you think?
Is it inappropriate if I defer to you, Mr. Katzenberg?
No, sir. I think that Hollywood has had a very, very difficult year, and it has had a pretty devastating impact on everybody in our industry, having just gone through 100 days of a writer's strike. And I think everybody is working very, very hard to avoid a strike. I think it's the last thing that anybody wants right now. And, I remain hopeful that the two parties will work this out and not have to have another strike come at this time when the business is trying to get back on its feet again.
I made a big mistake not working with Fellini. In fact, I said to him that I would pay out of my pocket if he would do the film with sound, but he said no, I don't use sound because he actually writes when he's doing the editing of the film. He actually, invents the dialogue at that point. That's the way he worked. It was a very bad mistake. I regret it, and I will always regret it. I found this film very difficult to do. I don't know what other actors feel, but we're not in a room together because it takes 4 years to make, so they can't have all the actors together. But I didn't enjoy it. No, I mean it's like talking to you right now, but you're not there. It would be more difficult. But you do it the best you can. I must say I put myself in the hands of the director because there was no other choice I had. They promised me that after the film was made that if I wanted to redo anything I could, and I was very surprised that there was I only had 2 or 3 notes. It really is their, Mr. Katzenberg included, it's their film. It just is. I mean, and I think all the actors, in a sense, you put yourself in their hands because they're inventing it as they go along and they're readjusting it. I didn't live with Gene Hackman. I lived with Bob Duvall. Yes, I hated the dishes. I did the shopping and I did the cooking. And every night we had the same thing. We had canned corn in a can and the cheapest steak that you could buy in the store. We called it round steak.
What was the question? How do I create a body with a voice? I didn't really think about that. They told me just be yourself, so I used my own voice and my own personality and just poured myself into the character that they created with their artwork. I left that up to them, but I enjoyed the process. I like working alone. I don't know what that says about me. I guess I'm much more of a...
You better stop there.
I know. This is a children's film.
So I just think that maybe shed a little light on this, which is that for each of these actors, the challenge and the opportunity of doing these films is that they allow for an enormous amount of improvisation. And I think the reason why people always see so much of these amazing actors in these films is because the animators embrace that improvisation. The directors do. And to have them in a very safe place, alone in a recording studio, and really freeing them to try many, many different things is why I think these films are so special and why they capture the talent of these artists. And even when it comes to how the film is adapted, there's an enormous amount of improvisation that he has brought to the film, and I hate the word dubbing because I think it demeans the contribution that has been made by the Italian cast in adapting this film here, because they're not just replicating word for word, vocal from vocal, what the actors have done. They're bringing their own interpretation to it, and that's what a great director does here in adapting the film.
If I may, it's interesting, and I don't know whether Mr. Katzenberg had anything to do with this. I've never asked him, but each actor, myself included, was asked by the director when we went into the room with a microphone, and that there's nothing else in the room but the director and the writer and the sound people behind the glass, and you're doing it over and over again, and Jeffrey said you're trying each different way. Before we started, they said we have a camera above you, and it records you during the session. It's a film camera. Was that your idea?
Yes, we've been doing it for decades.
It ain't a bad idea. It's a very good idea, because when you're acting, even if it's just there's a microphone, you use your hands without knowing it. If your face changes, whatever, you're not aware of it. They then give that film of what you've done to as I understand it, to the animators, and the animators then build, as they did, I certainly know with Jack, they built that character around the performance that he was creating. In fact, the character that he was creating, even though they had the image of the panda, whatever he was doing was fused with that image, and that's interesting, and that may be the beginning of very sophisticated animation. In other words, I think you start to go into, my imagination goes, you start to do satires, caricatures, say like Daumier did with lawyers and judges. I mean, it's extraordinary, the possibilities, I think.